Thank you, Manan, for taking out the time and coming on today's episode of Mera Pehla Crore. And I've been really looking forward to this episode because we connected a while back and I really wanted to get you. You were one of the few guests that Keshav and I had counted on that these are the people we really need to get on the podcast, even before we started the podcast. So it's like long overdue. I'm really excited for today. And thank you so much for taking out the time. And I would just like to share your story with our audience on a like bigger scale than it on like with more people than already know about it. So yeah,
Firstly, thank you. Thank you so much, Osama, for inviting me here. Since the time I saw the first episode, I've been like, yeah, you are doing something good. So I've been excited about it.
thank
And
you.
of course, with Keshav, there's a great relationship work-wise, and
Yeah,
also like you know, uh, Epic was one of the earliest no-code
right,
implementers and evangelists, and
right.
then we also came in probably I mean, I've taken a lot of inspiration from what Epic has done. So
Yeah,
I look up to Keshav, and nowadays we tend to get to work together in something or the other here and there, which is fun. So yeah,
yeah,
I've been looking forward to this as well. So thanks for having me.
perfect. It's our pleasure. And so basically, I would just like to start with the basics. So where do you come from? How did you like you talk about your family business a little on your LinkedIn profile, and and you tell us that it's all it's where it all began. So
Hmm.
if you could just walk us through what graduation did you do? I think you did mechanical engineering. So if we can start from the basics, and then we'll
Sure,
take the conversation from there of how you transition into modernizing processes.
sounds good. So very early in life, I was very sure that I wanted to do engineering and that also mechanical,
Yeah.
specifically because I had a really good passion for maths and physics both.
Okay.
So it's
Nice.
very rare nowadays, I know, but
No, I like
I was
physics.
really,
I
I was
like
really
physics.
excited about it. So it was very clear that I wanted to do mechanical engineering. Now,
Yeah.
where I am right now is a different story, but wanted to do mechanical, opted in for the right
Yeah.
colleges, figured things out, and did mechanical engineering.
Yeah.
But through my mechanical journey, uh, the core of mechanical was logic. The core of
Yeah.
understanding how machines work was like an input and output mechanism of sorts.
Yeah.
And in the middle, there's a machine which is doing the process.
Yeah.
Uh, Coming from our country, the scenario we are in right now, and what we have been in the recent past as well, or
Yeah.
maybe let's say the way India is growing as well. The concern was that mechanical engineering in our country is more focused on uh, copying products, or
Hmm.
there's a lot less of research and development and a lot
Hmm.
more of execution work. So
Yeah.
most mechanical engineers, most people from my batch are also placed in places where they're doing execution work, and very few are designing. And
Yeah.
as a core mechanical engineer, you would always want to design. So if
Right.
I really wanted to do a job in mechanical engineering and eventually, do something which is like launch a factory, run a factory, etc.
Yeah.
That is one thing. Like that was one reason where things changed. Second, when I graduated was 2019. Right after
Yeah.
2019, 2020, COVID came in.
Yeah.
So as a mechanical engineer, your work is on field. What do
Right.
you do when you are confined in a space?
Right.
So yeah, back then I had to really figure things out and think over how do I use the same, and I wasn't even trying to figure things out. I was just trying to play around. Where do I use the
Yeah.
same skill in different manners?
Right.
Uh, that being said, with mechanical engineering, there's a lot of operational research that you do. So
Yeah.
I was really inclined towards it in my final year of engineering with operation research. Uh,
Right.
I have all credits to mechanical engineering. So far, I'm still a core, hardcore mechanical engineer, and I see myself in the future building something which is like a factory, like some kind of manufacturing process, etc. But right now, things just worked out. Uh, as soon as COVID was going on, and I was playing around with, just randomly building things online and figuring things out what to do, etc. I had a small experience with working at a warehouse.
Yeah.
So while I was working at a warehouse, I created a simple system on Google Sheets
Right.
for managing the warehouse. It was for a
Hmm.
small and medium scale business. They usually don't. opt in for like a WMS directly. They
Yeah.
want to test it out. So I built a small system for them using a Google Sheet and like a mobile, etc. And that worked very well. So with that kind of a logic, I was like, oh, there has to be a better way to convert a Google Sheet into an app.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I found, like, this was just purely from a Google search, that how can I convert my Google Sheet into an app. That's how I found a tool called Glide,
Yeah.
whose headline was convert your Google Sheet into an app.
Positioning was clear.
Literally. So I was like,
Yeah.
wow, fantastic. Let's give it a shot. I had no idea about how to build apps and anything, but I gave it a shot, and I was in probably 2 days, literally what I wanted to achieve, I could achieve. And I was like,
Yeah.
if this is doable, I
Mhm.
think there's scope over here. Again, that
Right.
idea was parked on the side. While all of this was going on, I was planning for an MBA. I was preparing
Okay.
for my exams, entrances, etc. But with COVID coming in, that passion, that parked thought process that I had kept aside, I was like, yeah, let's try and explore this more. That's where it started. That's where it actually began, where I started playing around a lot more with. Back then, it wasn't even called no code. Back then, it
Yeah.
was called. It was its own term. Eventually, the term
Yeah.
no code really caught attention during
Yeah.
COVID. But
Yeah.
I started playing with Glide way before even Glide was making money and stuff. So I've seen the product grow, and in that journey, I started playing around with it with so much detail that I would showcase the work I've done to other people. I would showcase it. I would talk about it online, and people started seeing, and they were like, "Oh, if you can do it for yourself, can you do it for me?"
Right.
That's where my actual freelance started. That people
Right.
are willing to pay me for this work,
Right.
and the kind of money I started getting paid in the initial days during COVID, when everybody else was sitting and not doing anything else,
Yeah.
that the kind of money back then was like way more than what my fellow mechanical engineers were making as a salary.
Yeah.
So I could figure out that this is something big that I've
Yeah.
touched upon. Then eventually I started building more and more of those things for as a freelancer for random clients and random use cases. Everything under the sun, whoever requested me, I would do that. And that as you scale, you realize certain things. It wasn't even the business idea
Yeah.
so far, but when I scaled up, I realized that I need to niche down. I need to figure
Yeah.
out where I want to work around and what exactly is the core that I want to go into.
Yeah.
And this skill about improving a process, what my mechanical engineering had taught me, what my warehouse management systems have taught me, and the skill of developing apps from a Google Sheet, what Glide helped me learn,
Yeah.
or developing apps in general with no code. Both of those came together, and I decided to launch the company, like rename the company, called
Right.
Modernizing Processes,
Right.
which basically is an amalgamation between business side of things, of
Yeah.
process, like internal business process, converting into technology, and just joining those two together, because I have clearly seen there's a big gap between business consultants and software developers.
Yeah.
Business consultants can tell you what to do, can give you all kinds of analysis, but they cannot implement it, at least
Right.
with technology. And software
Right.
developers know how to develop whatever you want them to develop, but they don't
Yeah.
know what the actual application is.
Right.
And that gap I identified, and I was like, okay, I need to merge
Right.
these two together and
Right.
build something out of it. So yeah,
Right.
that's how my journey has been.
Uh, that's actually very interesting. So recently I was talking to another guest of ours, who's also a software engineer. So we touched upon this subject that you yourself touched upon, that uh, I personally don't agree that like people look at engineering as a non-creative or like non-creative job. And I think engineering does of any kind, it could be mechanical, it could be civil, it could be software. Of any kind, it cannot exist without creativity. So what we've created into factory workers, like you're saying, that who can only implement, like who can't think from a problem statement understanding point of view, is actually wrong. Because if you can't envision something, how do you even make it?
Correct?
So I think that is a narrative that has gone around engineering in general, which has become a mental block for
Correct.
people, like for new engineers at least. They know what they're looking for is a job. They're looking for, and they are being taught, like even all the courses, crash courses that are going around, like you see Scalar Academy, this and that. I'm sure they must be doing a great job. I don't have a personal experience with it, but what I feel is that they're teaching people how to crack interviews, how to
Correct.
find interviews, and how to crack
How to get
interviews.
placed.
Exactly. How to, because that is their problem statement. They're doing very well for themselves. But what people are not understanding that in case of a just to get some instant gratification early on in their careers, they're not thinking of long term.
Hmm.
And a person who can visualize the problem and solve it better, because you are the engineer, right? You can create a custom solution. You don't have to follow just orders that make like code this or build that. You can actually say that this is what we should build after understanding the problem deeply. So I completely resonated with everything that you had to
I would
say.
just add on to that. In today's day and age, we know what the power of AI is. It can
Yeah,
literally take orders. But
exactly.
like as of now, it cannot think creatively. So I
Exactly.
strongly feel humans are built to think creatively,
Yeah,
to analyze and to do
exactly. Exactly.
all kinds of problem statement understanding of sorts.
Yeah.
The execution, you should know how to execute, but the execution can be handled either by junior level people
Yeah.
or by systems, by
Yeah.
computers, by AI. Leverage
Yeah.
those things over there. So, and if you have a creative mindset as a human, you will always have opportunities. Always.
Exactly, exactly. So I think that thing, nobody can teach you how to be creative, and nobody can take that away from you.
Right.
So, and people need to allow themselves to be creative, because if you are in a dead end job, sometimes you need to do that. I've done those. So there, the motive of the people is to not to stop you from being creative. I was told so many times, don't think out of the box, just follow instructions. So, but that is what they want. So they should hire people like that. So they should also clarify it early on that what kind of a resource that they're getting on. So yeah, I completely agree. And just to wrap this whole like conversation that we've had so far in an analogy that makes sense to me, you can also validate it for me. I think objective and subjective are both good, but you like you said, AI can be objective, AI can be subjective, or people can like masses could be subjective, or the use case could be subjective, and the technology can be objective. But you still need like you have a plaintiff and you have a accuser and this and that in a court of law, and then you have a judge. What does the judge do? What is the job of the judge? If there is already a law and if there's already a mistake, it's very straightforward. What does the judge do? The judge takes the objectivity of the law and the subjectivity of the situation and builds an outcome, or like gets to an out like help people reach an outcome which is just. So
Correct.
that is what I think that is can be replicated anywhere, like in terms of technology, in terms of anything. And that is where people like you, or probably like me, I aspire to be like one, inshallah. But I think that is where we excel, where we able to
Correct.
connect, be the judge of situation and technology and solutions and problems, and then provide a holistic solution.
That's exactly that's what makes us human, right? Otherwise,
Exactly.
what is different between us and robots?
Exactly. Exactly. So you need that human touch. You can't just rely on AI. You can't just rely on people. You
Correct.
need
Correct.
you need wisdom more than
But the humans who can leverage
yeah.
these things well are
Yeah.
the
They're
superheroes.
wise. So they're wise. I think wise person is much better than like thousand workers. So
Correct. Correct.
because
100%.
wisdom comes with experience. Wisdom comes with creativity and being letting yourself be open uh, to that creativity. But coming back to the topic, so you started modernizing processes, you started implementing with them with no code early on.
Hmm.
And so what kind of requirements were you getting? Like you said, you were getting some requirements in COVID, and they were paying more than your average placement salary of college and your peers. So what kind of requirements were they? Like any particular interesting case that you remember?
Yeah. So a lot of the requirements went around. I have this new idea for a startup. It can probably
Okay.
be a $1 million, $1 billion business because it's a gap in the market.
Hmm.
Uh, but I want to validate the MVP first. I want to
Okay.
create something which is simple to showcase to the world and see if people are reacting to it.
Okay.
So building MVPs, and we used to call it beyond MVPs, building something
Okay.
beyond an MVP, which is not just visual, it's functional.
Hmm.
Uh, Before no code, building an MVP also was a lot of money.
Hmm.
So this lied somewhere in the middle, and people are willing to pay like a good chunk of money, but not a lot of money to validate their MVP. And that good chunk
Right.
was was much better than college placements.
Yeah, 100%. So, any particular problem that you came across that you had to solve, like uh, that you built
Yes,
an MVP for?
there was a very nice use case where in the UK, the parents, for example, you are an early parent, like you have a toddler and you are still working.
Hmm.
Uh, it's important for you to keep your toddler with a nanny.
Yeah.
Now, finding the right nanny, and when I
Hmm.
say right, it's important. Finding the right nanny for your toddler and matching them in the right way was
Hmm.
difficult. Uh, Again, it's like a matchmaking platform in the end.
Yeah.
But you have parents on one side, you have nannies on another side, and nannies have their preferences, parents have their preferences, and finding
Right.
the right nanny for the right parent, making a platform for that was one of the use cases that we had. We built the MVP in less than 2 months, I believe,
Okay.
and launched it. And they could see a lot of traction in the first year itself. Of course,
Okay.
that business then they scaled it up for a year or two. Then they hit other bottlenecks in terms of legalities and stuff, because of which they had to stop working on it. But the point was, in 3 months, they could know that if this business may work or may not work, and they
Right.
didn't have to spend probably a lot of venture capitalist money and spend 2 years to just realize if they have to
True.
take this forward or no.
True. 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 Got it. Yeah, makes sense. And you also talk about like you like modernizing processes help people cover their process debt.
So
So yeah.
these problem statements that I mentioned to you about was something that was one kind of problems that used to come in. The
Yeah.
second kind of problems, which were a lot more interesting to me, were
Yeah.
business problems. Like business owners would come in and say, for manufacturing, uh, for example, a manufacturing business, manufacturing pharmacies, he says that for me to manufacture this drug takes 10 days, but for me to manage the manufacturing of all of those things takes another 10 days. So
Okay.
the manufacturing time is just 10 days. Everything else is literally figuring out if it's procured in the right time, figuring out if the right person knows what to use, if the right machine is used, if the right raw material is inserted, how much quantity of what, etc. So
Hmm.
the entire process that we talk about around this was the thing that had a lot of opportunity of efficiency improvement. Okay,
Hmm.
and the things that are not very efficient, I call them process debt. That's just a terminology
Okay.
we have come up with. But basically, eliminating that process debt allows them to increase their efficiency and allows them to increase the kind of output that they can generate from the same resources that they have, which
Okay.
eventually increases their bottom line. So this particular problem statement that I spoke about, I was really very much more interested in, which
Hmm.
is literally, this is the input, this is the output, this is the process. How can we make the process more and more streamlined?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, but you talk about these projects that you got one for from UK. You got one for manufacturing processes, like unit processes. Where are you getting these clients from? Like on in the middle of COVID also. So, like those
This was,
time people were laying off like agencies and tech teams. How were you getting projects at that point of time?
see, at this point, what the kind of service I was trying to provide, the kind of solutions that could come out with no code. The first thing was, not a lot of people knew about it. So I was a
Yeah.
little bit ahead of the curve. People
Yeah.
didn't even, and I think till date, a lot of people don't know about it,
Yeah.
don't know what is possible. Okay,
Yeah.
so I was the one creating awareness around it, that
Right.
you don't really need to spend millions on building a tech team. You can spend much lesser while building the same solution,
Yeah.
same kind of a solution. So creating a lot of awareness digitally,
Yeah.
uh, where I would speak on some forums, some Slack channels, some Facebook
Okay.
groups, some internal communities around no code, some business entrepreneurship communities as well,
All
and
right.
overall showcase my work as much as possible. From there, once you start getting an inflow of clients and you do a really good job for them, they will they will never stop raving about you. So also, because we built apps for consumer facing products, a lot of consumers were exposed to our apps. So they would
Yeah.
also ask who built it, how can we get in
Hmm.
touch. So like that, a referral chain was established well, and also the kind of showcase that I was doing, those were the
Yeah.
two main sources of me getting most of my leads.
Yeah. I recently saw that you posted about, and I keep seeing that you're very active on LinkedIn. And you, I think last year you went on a Euro tour
Yeah,
for your modernizing processes. Like you
yeah,
had a target in mind that I want to help these many businesses help optimize their processes with no code.
correct.
That was your very clear agenda, and you were able to help some people.
Yeah,
So, what was the thought behind that? That went behind that whole journey? Like, if you could like tell us about more about it.
great point. So in the beginning, while I was working as a freelancer, uh, I was just scaling things up on my own, and then eventually realized that this can become a very good business. So I
Hmm.
started hiring, I started building a team, started getting people together. For probably 2 years, there was more than enough work that I could deliver. But after
Okay.
a point, we reached a place where we wanted to do a lot more better work, lot more valuable work with the same team. And
Hmm.
at this point, we also had done zero marketing. Like there was no kind of active marketing that the company was doing or I was
Hmm.
doing. It was just talking on forums and stuff. So not a lot of people knew what we did. So I was
Right.
like, we need to change this. We need to do something big, at least to start marketing. And also
Hmm.
because I wanted to learn marketing, I need to do something big, something out of the box, and something that takes me to the next level, for example.
Right.
And by that time, my team was already very automated, such that I, as a founder, could step out of the business
All
and
right.
things could run on their own. So I was like, yes,
Right.
it's time
That's the
that
best
I
case
take.
scenario. That's actually very cool that you reached that point very early in your agency life.
I would say that that's something that I keep striving for. So it's
Yeah.
something that we actively think about, that whatever I start doing, after one point, I have to get out of it. I need to automate
Hmm.
it or delegate it and get out of it so that I can
Hmm.
do more things.
Hmm.
And yeah, back then I did this. And then I was like, okay, let's think about what big step we could do.
Yeah.
Parallelly, on my personal front as well, I was getting married that year. So last year I
Okay.
was getting married, and all the while, all these years, I had been born and brought up in Mumbai only. I had done all my
Right.
education in Mumbai, so I had never gone out of my house even for more than a week. So I was like,
Okay.
yes, on a personal front, I want to do something big. On a professional front, also, I want to do some big marketing activity, at least experiment with it. And we spent probably 2 months. I built a small team for figuring out what we could do, and then we came up with an idea. So the idea was, a normal traditional development agency would take, to optimize one process or to build one app, they would take approximate timelines, and we did this research, but approximate timelines for everybody was 12 weeks. Your starting timeline for everybody was
Yeah.
12 weeks. And we were
Okay.
like, in 12 weeks, we can, for us, timelines are 1 week. So I was like, in 12
Hmm.
weeks, I can make 12 apps. I was like, okay,
Hmm.
cool. Let's take a challenge. In 12 weeks, we'll make 12 processes. And to
Right.
just make it more spicy, we were like,
Right.
and because I wanted to travel, we'll do it in 12 weeks, 12 process, 12 cities. So I
Right.
decided, let's do it in 12 cities. And
Yeah.
then launched this campaign. We named it Project Bara. Bara is
Yeah.
12. We
Yeah.
named it Project Bara. Uh, the tagline was that only: 12 weeks, 12 processes, 12 cities, and 12
Yeah.
cities across Europe. So
Yeah.
for I went for a backpacking trip for 3.5 months in Europe to meet new businesses, to solve for their problem statements, to learn new things, and to also step out of
Yeah.
home. It was a great journey overall, I would say.
Yeah. So, but how, like, did you find the clients to solve the problem for on the go as well, or did you like pre-plan them, like approach them beforehand before going?
I had pre-planned probably 30% of them, and then
Okay.
the rest were finding on the go. So we planned this entire
Okay.
thing in a very short timeline, and also, like, I had to do it before I got married, so I couldn't.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do it before I got married. So we
Yeah.
had made this like a very quick project, like a sprint
Right.
of sort.
Right.
So some things were pre-planned, some things were done on the go.
Yeah.
Very, like, we were very agile with everything that we did during the entire journey. But yeah, that's how it went on.
But did it pay off?
I would say yes, it did pay off. Not completely in the ways that we had expected it to pay off, but a lot of things worked in the right direction. A lot of things didn't work in the right direction,
Of
which was
course. Yeah.
very much expected.
Yeah.
Uh, the payoff was that I got exposed to a lot more
True.
cities, lot more businesses overall. Our marketing worked really well in terms of
Yeah.
promoting the project overall. Like
Right.
the concept came out well. people knew about it, etc.
Yeah.
But the actual solving the problems and actually finding the right clients on the right time, which was actually more like building the trust with clients, that we
Right.
couldn't do very well with everybody, and hence
Yeah.
we couldn't really capture the right problem statements. So we could
Yeah.
capture a few, we solved for a
Mm.
few. In fact, we had like 3 fantastic wins during the project. One of them was we built an MVP for a student who was studying in Monaco, and he had a business competition in Monaco. So
Right.
for that competition, he was making a pitch. It was more like a Shark Tank competition. In
Got it.
that pitch, he wanted to demonstrate his idea through an app, and
Understood.
he had given us 1 week to develop that app. We developed it. We
Mm.
presented it, like I and him presented it in Monaco,
Yeah.
the app, and he won the competition.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, he came
Mm.
first, and that was
Yeah.
a fantastic win because
Yeah.
uh,
It
for
was a
him to
win for
come
you.
first, it was a big win for me. It was
Yeah.
also in one of the most bling cities in the world, so I was
Yeah.
really excited over there.
Yeah.
So yeah, throughout the process, this was the biggest win that we had, and we had a couple of more such really good wins. Back then, AI also was non-existent. People didn't know
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
While
Not that big.
but access was there. Like I
Yeah.
had ChatGPT access. So for
Yeah.
one business owner, they used to make proposals. It's a consulting business. They used to make proposals in 2 weeks. So his
Okay.
problem statement was it takes us 2 weeks to build one proposal. Let's
Okay.
find a way to leverage AI to build this proposal in 2 hours. And
Yeah.
that was my 1 week problem statement. And we
Yeah.
achieved that.
Yeah.
So in 1 week, we built a system using leveraging ChatGPT. Back then, it was
Of course. Yeah.
super mystifying. Now
Yeah.
people might realize, okay, can be done. But
Yeah.
back then, when we did that, even he was all over the moon. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, we achieved this. This was in Portugal.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, getting that kind of exposure was excellent.
That sounds actually quite interesting to have gone through. But one thing that I would like to understand based on your project Bara itself, that when you approach a business, that this is a business I want to help solve a problem. Like it does even does not have to be in Project Bara, even in general, when you approach a
Yeah,
client. Are there any processes in mind that you know that people usually mess up? And yeah, I can just start from here, and it
correct.
will just show them create a ripple effect. It will show them initial impact, and it will help them realize here this is what can be done at scale. So you start with
Absolutely.
let's say
We
you
do
have three processes in mind. What processes do you automate first?
see the thing is with every business owner, the way business owners think is
Yeah,
profit first, or they think everything starts from sales. You
yeah.
need to
So you
sell
solve the
more.
money problem.
So we try to solve the process for the money problem. Okay, which
Got it.
is more like how do you manage onboarding of clients? How do
Okay.
you make client dashboards? How do you
Hmm.
manage your CRM better? Or how do
Yeah.
you create a CRM better? That is something which is more like a hook. Because
Hmm.
to be honest, that is a small problem. I mean,
Yeah.
people think that's the biggest problem, but that is a small problem. As soon as you solve that problem, you will have more leads than you can ever deliver to.
Yeah.
And that's a common scenario with a lot of businesses. Like you'll have after one point, once you've proved your product and once you've proved your service, you'll have more leads than you can deliver the highest quality to.
Yeah.
Now, delivering the highest quality of service or of product is the bigger challenge that a lot of businesses face. So
Hmm.
once we hook them in, then solving the actual project management problem is the core, is the key.
Hmm.
Uh, so project management becomes one of our core, one of our most requested problem statements. And once project management is done, which is basically the heart and soul of the business, from there are lots of ancillary problems which come up from project management itself, such as
Hmm.
cash flow management, employee tracking, HR
Right.
systems, task
Right.
management. Lots of things come up once the heart is built.
Right. So just on that subject, I would like to understand if you have to prioritize these problems. You said cash flow management, you said HR operations, and some other departments processes that you identified. What would be your priority order in terms of how businesses should be built? Like if you have the better foundation of business or anything, you build anything and you have a better foundation, it's a stronger building. But if you don't have a stronger foundation, you have the best furniture in the house, it doesn't make sense.
Correct. No, that's a great question actually, and my answer is going to be a little diplomatic over here,
Sure.
because it depends on the business owner themselves, and I'll tell you why. The strength that the business owner has, through because of which they have built the business, like they have come here, and every business owner, or if it's co-founders, they have certain strengths that they are really good at. For
Yeah.
example, somebody would be really good at sales, somebody is really good at operations, somebody is really good at marketing.
Yeah.
Whatever you are really good at, I always tell them that automate that first.
Okay.
The things that you're really good at, make a very detailed system of that first, because you know it in the most detail. So once you build a system around that, it will be something that is your USP. Your business's USP. You'll
Right.
be able to do it very well, and you'll also get results immediately out of it.
Yeah.
So as a business owner, as a founder, which is the thing that you know in and out of, which is the thing that you know insights in such a way that nobody else knows in your business, and which is the thing that has made you successful so far. Automate that first. As soon as you're done with that, then we move on to the problems that are linked to that. So if you
Okay.
have automated the sales part of it, then either go to the marketing part of things or go to the delivery part of things.
Okay.
So, and that's the concept of atomic process that we are trying to say, that build one process and then start doing process stacking on top of it. Because
Okay.
once something is automated, adding a layer to it is going to be easy. And then
Yeah.
keeping on adding layers to it is going to be even more easier. If you have read
Right.
the book from called Atomic Habits,
Yeah.
it's on a personal level. That's what they say, that build one habit and then
Yeah.
do habit stacking.
Yeah.
In the parallel to that, we are like, build a process and do process stacking.
Right. Right. And that makes sense. And because people should play to their strengths, and strengths are subjective.
Correct.
And that makes sense. I think that you don't just work around with Glide in the past 4 years. You keep testing out new tools, right? So what are the top 5 tools that you go to solve a business problem, and then you figure out, okay, which tool is right for which problem?
Great point. See, for us, tools are just mediums. Okay,
Yeah,
tools
exactly. Yeah, 100%.
are just a way to solve the problem. And this was something that we spoke in the beginning as well.
Yeah.
Humans, our job is to figure out a problem statement and analyze it and solve it, and then use the right tool in the right place. So that's how we have thought about it throughout. But we have zeroed down on certain tech stacks. Okay, the first thing that we always rely upon is a G Suite, like
Yeah.
Google Suite, which includes Google Sheets, Google Apps Scripts, Google Calendar, Gmail, Google Keep, and Google Slides.
Okay.
Uh, that's the simplest way to automate things, because a lot of this limits us to only the businesses who are using G Suite, but most of them don't even know what kind of automations are possible with that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we try to leverage the Google Suite overall to automate things, and we have had expertise over there, so it works out well for us.
Yeah.
As soon as somebody is on a level above them, who has certain things which are well structured on Google Suite, or maybe they want more, then we move to a tech stack of which is Glide.
Okay.
So Glide being the centerpiece, Glide with a lot of integrations around. So Glide itself offers a lot of array of integrations, but with that you end up integrating a lot of email. We do really good integrations with WhatsApp, and
Okay.
specifically in India, our consumers are very WhatsApp centric. Like a
Right.
lot of mass of India is on WhatsApp. So we tell business owners that if you want to do anything which is easy to adapt for your team and for your consumers, use WhatsApp. Use WhatsApp
Right.
for notifications. Use WhatsApp for getting data also.
Right.
So we use WhatsApp, and with Glide we use a lot of ChatGPT integrations. Like lots
Okay.
of places where we leverage AI to generate text, transcribe text, convert images to text, to databases, all kinds of those things. So that is our most used tech stack. From there, if people are even beyond that, then we stick to traditional code, which is React.js, Node.js, and the entire tech stack around it. So we have explored a lot of different tech stacks, and now zero down upon these three.
Okay. Got it. So uh, I had a follow-up question on what you were saying, but it was around Um, do you not use Zapier also, like along with Glide, to automate a lot of things? And plus, the question I remember now was that what is the niche that you work with the most? Because you have a solution in mind that people should automate their uh, stuff with WhatsApp, like notifications and getting in data inputs. So, and for me, in mind, there's a very particular niche that you can solve this problem for on scale. Like you can get like hundreds and thousands of clients just in that particular niche, and it doesn't have to be a very expensive problem for them to solve, but you in volume you can generate a lot of revenue. I don't know if you're already doing that. So what is your strongest niche right now that you're catering to?
I'll answer the niche question first.
Yeah.
And we have zero down. So we have been niche agnostic for quite a long time.
Yeah.
But we know that we work really well with manufacturing companies
Okay.
overall, because manufacturing companies already have a set process in place. It just needs to be automated. And most manufacturing companies don't really focus on technology, which is software driven,
Yeah.
like SMEs majorly.
Mhm.
And for SMEs to go to IPO level or go beyond that, also there is a lot of scope. So we focus a lot on manufacturing companies.
Mhm.
But again, we still till date we feel that every business in the end
Yeah.
requires processes to be modernized, and they can use our services. So
Yeah.
we are really niche agnostic. It it's a two-edged sword for us, but it's still working well for us. So
So one like quick insight that I would like to share as a buyer of many like consumer of many products in the e-commerce spectrum. I think e-commerce could be a great market for you to go after because, and you can see it for yourself. You don't need my validation for it. If you just subscribe to or just visit the website of Veg Non-Veg, Crep.crew, and these sneaker platforms, or even the likes of Niche Perfume and the big e-commerce brands who are doing really well in their space. A lot of small e-commerce stores, if they just optimize for their notifications and their touch points and their nudge with their customers, they could sell a lot more. So uh, I think if you can just analyze that behavior that they are targeting these big brands and replicate it for a smaller brand, because it's all automation. It's not in the product. You're not solving with the product problem. You're not solving their marketing problem. You're just solving their automation problem. So everyone was already using Shopify, so you already have a platform that it can be easily integrated with. So you don't have to worry about a lot of problems. You just have to connect two and two to the dots together there.
we do have a good portfolio of e-commerce companies who we have worked with,
Yep.
and I
Yeah.
completely agree on what you're saying. So it's a great niche to be in. Uh, Only one challenge over there, which we have noticed, is it's a little exploited and commoditized already,
Yeah.
because of Shopify add-ons and stuff like that. So a lot
Yeah.
of people are selling services at dirt cheap prices. They're selling poor quality services at dirt cheap prices.
Yeah.
And going in that niche sometimes and just arguing with the founder saying why are we better and why are we charging more, uh, and breaking our heads becomes a
Yeah.
problem. So
Yeah.
we do very well when it's an inbound lead, but then
Yeah.
we don't really try and push them to do it
Yeah.
at times. So, but
Yeah.
yes, e-commerce definitely is a great niche.
Yeah. But you can have a spray and pray strategy working
Yeah,
here.
that's what.
So you
That's
can just automate an email campaign, cold email
I'll
campaign
be
for them.
honest with you, Osama. Till date, we have not done any kind of outbound.
Yeah,
The thing is,
that's what I'm saying.
everything has.
I know that.
Yeah,
I know that. I know that. That's what I'm like suggesting you that because you don't have, you've not done outbound and you have great portfolio already. So it will be very easier for you to sell. So, that way you can just scrape a lot of emails for e-commerce stores with BuildWith or something other platform that can help you find that data, and then you can just automate an email campaign. You don't even have to sit on it actively. So you
yeah,
only respond back to the replies. So once you have that funnel going on, you can pick and choose whom you want to work with. And I
no,
completely
that's
agree
a
with that fact. It's a very cheap market with in e-commerce. They're selling
correct.
cheaper products. It's a like it's a very laser sharp margin market, right? They're not earning big bucks themselves that they can afford you unless they're coming from a wealthy background themselves. So
It's
that
a
becomes a
different story,
challenge for
but
them.
the main market is not like, because as you rightly mentioned, the margins per product are
Exactly.
already very thin, right?
Exactly.
And from those margins, we are trying to tell them shell out a little more for automation. They don't
Exactly.
realize that it eventually will increase their margins. But
Yeah.
that's a mindset game, more or
Yeah.
less. But yeah, I like the concept that you mentioned. Go and spray and
If,
pray, and we'll see.
exactly, and you're in the automation guy already, so you know how to automate these outbound.
We
Like
do. I
you're
agree
doing it
on
for other
that.
people,
It's
and
just that
otherwise you can create a
sometimes.
course. You can create a course on how to teach them how to do it themselves. So if they don't want to pay big bucks for you and
Right.
your service, so it doesn't have to be done for. It can be done with also. Like so you can create a workshop for them, and like Web of Facility does it in Growth School.
You know, uh, in our case, we have been we have embraced slow growth. We are like, we'll go slow. We'll do the
100%.
things
Yeah.
we really enjoy as a
Yeah.
company, and the things that we will do really good with as well.
Yeah.
uh, and not be all over the place. So sometimes I choose to not do certain things and
I get
be
that.
be really focused and
Yeah.
figure things out. And I know that that means that lower top line growth every year, or
Yeah.
but till the time I am satisfied, my bottom line is healthy, my team is
Yeah.
happy, I'm
Yeah.
comfortable. I'm
Yeah.
completely okay not getting fundraised in the next 5 years,
Oh yeah,
or
that's fine.
uh,
Yeah.
so
That's not
I've been.
success.
So that I have no offense to that kind of success. I think that also is success in its own way. But for us, we are very much more focused on growing in the right way. So setting
Yeah.
foundations strong. So
Yeah.
sometimes uh, just trying to do a lot of things together makes me, and I've done this before. Like I've
Yeah.
been a victim, and I've been a culprit also. That I've tried to
Yeah.
do everything together, and then I was like, no, I can't play with my bandwidth so much, because that is my
Yeah.
biggest asset. My time is my biggest
True.
asset. So I
True.
choose to spend my time in the right places. Like I really think twice before choosing to spend time in places.
Yeah, that's 100% correct, and that's how it should be. I completely agree with that. But you keep talking about your team a lot, which is great actually. As a founder, that if you keep giving credit to your team wherever it's due, I think that's a very great signal of a good leader. So, what I would like to understand about is how big is your team, and how do you see it growing further, or are you currently hiring for some roles that people can reach out to you for?
Currently hiring for two positions. One is like a junior business analyst,
Okay.
and one position is for junior Glide developers. But there
Okay.
are like two developers, two openings that we have over there. So total three openings as of now.
Okay. Okay. And so all of your marketing that like leads come in every year, they are all inbound that you get through the word of mouth and your
Some
personal.
things word of mouth, some kind of organic posting that I'm doing on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
etc. Lot of referrals, and one big source is Glide, because we are listed on Glide as a
Oh,
premium
okay.
Glide premium agency, premium partner. Glide keeps sending us leads as well.
Okay. Okay. So I think that must be a healthy flow of leads then.
It's a good flow. It's a decent flow of leads, because we are the only Glide premium partner in India as of now.
Oh, that's great. And so let's poke the bear a little. Do you think personal branding works? Is it useful or is it not useful or is it just a facade?
No, it's definitely, it works if done in a very authentic manner.
Yeah.
So personal branding, I think that it's a new terminology overall, which a lot of people have climbed upon. But I think the skill of being able to showcase what you believe in truly, uh, as a founder, uh, be it on LinkedIn or be it on any platform or in general in life, when you're meeting people,
Yeah.
is very important.
Yeah.
So it's basically that skill that I was using in front of people when I was meeting them offline. Trying to leverage that and put that on social media definitely works, because a lot more people hear about your opinions,
Yeah.
but those opinions need to be yours and not AI generated, because then it beats the
True.
purpose.
True.
So it does work. It's for me, it has worked really well, because a lot of people choose our services because of me being involved.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be it shouldn't be such that only when you are involved they'll be opting in for it. So
Yeah.
yeah, but definitely I think personal branding is something that, I mean, why are we doing the podcast as well, right? That's one
Yeah.
of the reasons that we want to talk more about our stories. We want to also talk more about our opinions,
Yeah.
and see who resonates with them, uh, and also share value and see who resonates with them. So yes, personal branding does. I would
Yeah.
say it works. Yes.
Yeah. And just to add to your point, I think people like working with other people. They don't like working with companies unless it's a very big company. So those are very few. So we can't base our like opinion or general statements on exceptions. So generally speaking, people like to work with people whom they can like connect with on a personal level. I think that's the factor of why we should like why people try to be likable in front of their clients and prospects. So that's the whole point. And I'm not saying lie to be likable, but if you are a likable person in general, people will like you. You attract good people to
You need
you.
to be authentic, is what I feel. Like the way you are in front of a person in real, you need to be the
Exactly.
same on social
Exactly.
media. That's it. And
Exactly.
personal branding is not a game of numbers, which a lot of people see. Uh, Credit goes to influencers and people. I'm going for the numbers because that's what they're telling me. But if you are running a company, if you're running a service or whatever kind of a business, then the numbers is secondary, is more like a facade. The real
Yeah.
core is what content you're producing. What exactly are you speaking about?
Yeah. Like numbers become vanity after a point for business owners, unless and you're into that business. That is like your
Unless you
business.
are
So
in generating numbers business, then you should have
exactly.
numbers. If you're saying
Exactly.
I will take your personal brand from 0 to 100,000 and you don't have a
Exactly.
100,000 personal brand,
There's a
then it's
point.
a problem. Yeah,
Exactly. Then you're not doing something right. So,
correct.
but like with the inception of AI, like coming into general masses, like, and a lot of things can be done by like decentralization of processes and everything that people can learn from AI or automate through AI. Where do you see the automation going in the next, let's say, 5, 10 years? Because every year is a rapid change in technology, with GPT, with new GPTs coming in, and other kind of AI that are coming in. I think it's only going to get more and more simpler rather than more and more complex. So people will be able to automate a lot of things on their own but with just plain English.
So where I see this going is, and this again goes back to the core that we are discussing, the creativity versus the execution, regular
Yeah,
execution. I strongly feel that all the things that are repeatedly executed by humans,
yeah,
and those also could be skills, okay, hard skills. For
yeah,
example, how do you do plumbing? Now, execution of the plumbing is a different story, but how do you do it? That skill. There will be a lot of AI which will take over those things.
yeah,
I'm not. I don't mean to scare anybody. It's more like a hard truth that
yeah,
it's coming
yeah,
because a lot of skills, hard skills, will go away. The soft skills, though, which is more of how to communicate, how to analyze problems, how to apply problems, how to apply AI to the right problem statement, how
mhm,
to uh, fill in the gap, how to be the judge in your
yeah,
example that you mentioned.
yeah,
That skill, whatever, I don't think AI can replace that skill. Probably in the next 5 to 10 years, I don't see it ever replacing that skill because while AI is increasing and AI is improving, I strongly feel humans will keep improving that skill as well.
yeah,
So
yeah,
the analysis skill of humans who can use AI very well, will always keep increasing. So humans will always be one step above AI at every point, and they will try to train the AI with that skill that they newly learned and make that better such that they can learn new skills.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
that's my understanding of this. I may be completely
yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree. I'm with you on that. That I think AI is a tool. I think smart people, will use AI to strengthen their position in the market, wherever they might be. But just one of the last things to touch upon, and I won't take much of your time, because I know we are already over an hour. So you also talked about an app called Plumber that reached a milestone of 1,000 users recently. And what is that about? Like that just seems interesting. I like that's a personal question, so more
Yeah,
than
in
more for a
this way,
more than for a podcast.
that use case actually it's a case study of one business really making the right use of technology with in, as a nice application. So
Mhm,
we have built this for another company. The company is into selling of bathroom fittings,
mhm,
majorly plumbing solutions. And the plumbing solutions that they sell are installed by plumbers in the end.
Okay.
And the company, their whole hypothesis was that in order to sell plumbing solutions, the service provider plays a big role. So the plumber themselves play a big role of deciding what plumbing material to choose.
Got it.
Why should they choose this pipe and not that pipe? Because
Hmm.
not the architect, not the end consumer, they don't know enough about it. But the plumber
Right.
themselves are technically sound to define what to choose.
Right.
So first they just realize that in their entire supply chain, who is a key personality that they can tap into. So they decided to tap into plumbers.
Hmm.
Now, once because they had to tap into them, they had to figure out a way to bring a lot of plumbers in the ecosystem. In order to do that, they had to make a loyalty program of sorts. Now,
Yeah.
we have seen a lot of loyalty programs which are built
Yeah.
for all kinds of people and all kinds of markets. The only thing that is different about this loyalty program is it's built for plumbers who are usually blue collar, who are usually not extremely tech savvy. India has a really good, and it's people think opposite of it, but India's consumers and India's even the lowest level of income groups of India also are really tech savvy. Okay, like
Thanks to Geo. Thanks to the
thanks to Geo,
2016
thanks to Geo,
revolution.
absolutely,
Yeah.
everybody's tech savvy. But when I
Yeah.
say less tech savvy, they are lesser tech savvy than most
Yeah.
of us.
Yeah.
So we had to create something which was very easy for them to consume. Uh, so we leverage three things majorly. One is build an app which is easy to install
Hmm.
and which communicates to them in their language. So this
Hmm.
app communicates to them in their local languages with videos and stuff like that. Very easy to install. Second, communicate with them on the place where they are most comfortable in. We realize that plumbers, for communicating with customers also, they use WhatsApp everywhere.
Hmm.
So we have linked this app to WhatsApp automation fully. So when the plumber signs up, they get WhatsApp messages. When they get
Okay.
paid, they get WhatsApp messages. Everything like full WhatsApp automation overall. And finally, um, making data entry super seamless for them. So whenever they have to claim any kind of bonuses, make data entry super seamless, leveraging AI. So we are leveraging AI over there. Basically, what they have to do is they have to take pictures, and my AI will automatically parse the picture, extract information from that, and fill in my database. So the plumber doesn't even have to type anything. They
Yeah.
just have to take three pictures and give their location and hit submit. And
Hmm.
if it's a valid installation, they get paid for it. Now
Hmm.
the final thing, which actually I think is the changing point, is the turning point over here, is just what do you think? How should they get paid? How does a loyalty program work? How does a loyalty program incentivize you?
Um, it's usually to use the like company that is creating the loyalty programs, services, or products.
Sometimes it's use those services, sometimes it's points, sometimes it's
Yeah.
vouchers.
Yeah.
What we have done differently over here is cash. So we are paying them directly in GP accounts.
Hmm.
And again, our UPI is excellent. It's one of a kind.
Yeah.
So as soon
Yeah.
as they cross that milestone, the account team gets a notification with their UPI ID. All they have to do is approve that, press a button, and it's the money is directly press a button. Of course, enter the UPI pin. Money is
Yeah.
directly sent via GPay to them.
Hmm.
And because these plumbers get from the point that they see a voucher to the point they get paid, and if everything is valid, it's literally less than 2 minutes of work for them.
Hmm.
Everything communicated on WhatsApp, installed very easily through a web app,
Hmm.
and getting paid through UPI. Leveraging these three together is the reason it's a little different. The loyalty program is different, and it's working really well. The
Yeah.
good thing is this was built in less than a month using the core is Glide, and in after the launch in less than 2 months, the program has already crossed about 1,200 plumbers as of today.
That's great. That's actually a great problem to solve. And I was like, while you were talking, I was thinking that if you could create, I don't know if it's already there, so please, like, pardon me. I just think out loud a lot of times. So I was thinking if you could just, because a lot of like what I've noticed in my experience with these people of plumbing category or like labor, basically labor category, they are like today they are a lot into YouTube shorts and reels, and that behavior they've already adapted to. So if the customers like who are putting up their query that I want a plumber, or the company who is putting up a query that this person is looking for a plumber for so and so reason, if they could just record, and it could be localized also, because a person in Chennai would record it in Tamil, I believe, and a person in Punjab would record it in Punjabi and Assamese and so on. So they could just record the video of that faucet or whatever shower, whatever needs to be fixed, and they can talk in their, like, explain the situation in their own plain simple words, and those videos become uh, accessible to plumbers. And instead of liking and commenting, they can just like apply for it somehow, like this is the job that I would like to do, and like the first come first basis, or then you can give the power and like to choose from in the customer's hand, and I think that integration comes together.
Correct. No, that's a great point. Uh, Honestly, what you said, everybody is very comfortable with a reel format nowadays, and
Exactly.
that's across categories, across
Yeah.
people, across layers.
Yeah.
So, in fact, we are doing a lot of training on the app also through vertical video formats, which are phone
Yeah.
friendly.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. And with AI, what you can also do is when somebody is putting that information in their local language, they are speaking in their local language, you can convert that into translate it into the language of the plumber. So let consumers speak in their language, let the plumber hear in their language, while
Yeah.
the system takes care of everything in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a good problem to solve for the south part of the country,
Yes.
because where
Yeah.
North Indians move, or like vice versa, when they move into the north and we move into the south, I think that's a uh, great place to come together with technology and help solve
Right.
these problems. So like a localized urban clap, that something of that sort. So,
So
but yeah,
over here, this community is more owned by the company who they
yep,
are, and they owned by the products of that company. So it's not a
yep,
service plumber service. It's more like the plumbers
yep,
leveraging plumbers to do more sales.
yep,
It's more
yep.
for the top line. Yeah.
Yep, yep. But the company could also market the product for to find more like people looking for plumbers online. They could
Correct.
market the app to them, and so that they can create revenue generation opportunities for the plumbers. And in that process, they sell their products.
So right now
Yeah,
we're in the user acquisition phase, user acquisition of
sounds great.
plumbers. The next step, what there are so many things that can happen once users are acquired.
Sounds great. I I think that was it from my side, Manan. I think I've already taken a lot of your time, but thank you so much for taking out time today, sharing your journey with us, sharing your
It
milestones with
was
us,
great.
and so candidly and honestly. And I really loved hearing about whatever you've done so far, and I really hope to see modernizing processes achieve great heights in India, in the as a first to go, market in the glide space, and the world as well. Thank
Thank
you
you so
for
much,
coming on, bro.
Osama. Thanks for the kind words, and thanks for having me here. It was a pleasure.
Likewise, I'll just stop the recording now.